What's going on, guys? What's going on, guys? What's going on, guys? Welcome to YouTube video on my channel. Gonna be honest, people have been asking for Obstagoon for a while, and I was like, well, I want to cover the Pokemon that I think are better first, right? But eventually, like, enough people requested it, so I said, okay, I'll cover Obstagoon. Okay, you've really tied my hands. I'll cover Obstagoon. And I started looking. Why is nobody using this thing? Seriously, this thing is so good. I'm actually like, I started looking and I was like, okay, really good coverage. Okay, wait, really good stats. Okay, really like unique protect. Okay, like amazing abilities. 3 amazing abilities. Nobody's using this thing, and it's and an amazing shiny form. If I was shiny hunting, I'm thinking about shiny hunting just so I can get shiny Obstagoon. Literally, just so I can get shiny Obstagoon. So let's talk about it. Why do I think this thing is really good? I've given you a little preview. Oh my god, it's so good. It's so good. Nobody's using it. I had no idea. It's so good. It has amazing. I'm literally so. I want to use like. I'm mad at this thing because I want to use like 10 sets all at once because it has so many cool things it can do. So let's talk about Barracudax and Ixon. I can't read these. I'm really sorry. So let's talk about Obstagoon. First of all, it's a dark normal type. It's a Galarian form of it's the evolution of Galarian Linoon. Jesus, thing is so good. Let's talk about it. So, it's dark normal type, like I mentioned. It has 3 amazing abilities. First, Reckless. It gets Double Edge, so it gets a much stronger or like a Life Orb boost on Double Edge. It gets Guts, meaning if you try to status it, you might end up doubling its attack power, or 1.5 increase on its attack power. It gets Defiant, which is traditionally one of the greatest abilities in VGC due to the prevalence of Intimidate, and also the prevalence of Max moves now. Because Max moves now will lower, some of them lower stats. You want to lower Obstagoon stats? Well, I hope you're ready for Defiant. Okay, let's talk about stats next. So normally most Pokemon have some good stats and some bad stats. Obstagoon has only good stats. Good, really high base HP. Okay, attack is one of its worst stats, but it's still fine. Given its abilities, it's so fine. Attack base 90, defense base 101. Given, 101 is, of course, not phenomenal, but when you consider how high the HP base is, it's actually very good. Special attack you're not using, even though it has amazing coverage moves. Special defense is fine. Special defense is a little lacking, but again, the HP is so good that it's not that bad. And a good base speed stat. Now, 95 is nothing. In past metagames, this wouldn't have been amazing, but frankly, in this metagame, things are fast. Things are super fast. So, it's actually not bad at all, somehow. Okay, so you figure, okay, great abilities and really good stats, right? Surely they've probably weakened it somehow, right? With abilities this good and with stats that are so good, surely the moves are not that good. This guide is incomplete because I could not fit all of the sets that I wanted to because there's so many moves. First of all, they gave it Obstruct, which is a new move, unique to Obstagoon. It's the only Pokemon that learns it. Want to check. I don't actually know if it works like King Shield or if it works like Protect. I believe it works from Protect. The way that it works is it's Protect, which is the best move in Pokemon across the years in competitive Pokemon. Okay, so it works like Protect, right? Sure, Protect is good. If you attack into it and you make contact with it, for example, if Excadrill were to use Iron Head, or Arcanine were to use Flare Blitz or Extreme Speed, the attacker's defense stat would fall by 2 stages. Effectively, if they're at neutral, cutting their defense stat in half. If you attack into Obstagoon and while it uses Obstruct, your defense gets cut in half. Okay, so that's pretty good. Surely they've weakened it in other ways. Okay, they gave it Switcheroo, meaning you could easily hold a choice item and have it be good and also have it be disruptive. Alright, that's fine. That's not a big deal, right? Okay, now we got some bad attacks. Lick, Tackle, Snarl. I'm sure Lick, Tackle, Leer. Surely they don't give it more good moves. Okay, Snarl, great support move. Hone Claws it can boost. We're going to talk about that. Taunt, great move. Double Edge. So remember how I mentioned Reckless? You now have even stronger Double Edge. Okay, but surely it doesn't get good coverage moves, right? Ice Punch, Fire Punch, Thunder Punch, Pin Missile, not that good. Icy Wind. It gets Icy Wind, meaning it has speed control. It gets Sunny Day and Rain Dance. It gets Helping Hand, one of the best moves in Pokemon. It gets Fake Tears. It gets Cross Poison and Shadow Claw. Well, Cross Poison's not that strong, even though it's a poison type or like attack, and Obstagoon is weak to fairy type Pokemon. Cross Poison's not that strong, so we surely, it probably won't be used, right? Stomping Tantrum, ground type coverage. Retaliate, very strong move. Ice Beam, don't know why. Blizzard, don't know why. Surf, don't know why. Body Slam, stab with a chance to paralyze. Low Kick, okay, so now it's getting fighting coverage. Thunderbolt Thunder, we're not talking about those. Iron Tail, a 100 base power steel type attack. Taunt, Trick, just in case Switcheroo wasn't enough, they gave it Trick. Bulk Up and Iron Defense for boosting. Close Combat, they gave it Close Combat, so the Steel type Pokemon that normal cannot hit, and the Rock type Pokemon that normal cannot hit, it now has Close Combat. Seed Bomb, X Scissor, Gunk Shot. They gave it the strongest poison type move in the game. They gave it Gunk Shot. Don't ask me why, I do not know. Body Press, Throat Chop. Okay, we made it through the moves. Oh my god, okay. Well, at least it doesn't get the best dark type attack in the... Oh, it gets knockoff. And just in case that wasn't enough, they gave it Parting Shot, one of the rarest moves, an incredible support move that lets you switch out while lowering the attacker's attack or the defender's attack and special attack stats. It's a U-turn that weakens the target. Okay, so let's recap what we've talked about. It gets amazing coverage. It has amazing stats. And it has 3 amazing abilities. And it's even fast! Normally these things are like slow. You use it on Trick Room. Nope. They even gave it poison and steel type coverage to hit fairy types. Do you know how much? Right. Sorry, maybe you can't see this. Let's just zoom in a little bit so you can see. Sure. Oko, the bulky, max HP, fairy type Pokemon that's your counter. I don't care. Why not? So, Obstagoon, maybe you can understand why I'm shocked this thing has no usage. Like, a lot of these things on their own would be enough. Wow, I talked for almost 8 minutes. That's ridiculous. I just got really excited for that. For this Pokemon. So you might think that like any of these things on its own, the move pool, the stats, and the abilities, and even the typing is cool. Like it's weak to what? Fighting, and Fairy, and Bug? Is that it? Oh my god, this thing is so good. Fighting, Fairy, Bug, Fighting, Bug, Fairy. God, 3 weaknesses and one of them is Bug! Oh my god. Anyway, let's talk about the sets, because this is gonna be a long video apparently. First of all, let's just clarify, I came up with 5 sets. I just stopped because I couldn't, like, there was too many and I couldn't write them all down, like, because there's so much. I didn't even cover, like, a lot of the stuff we've already talked about. That's why I wanted to do longer on the intro, because, yeah. So here's the first Obstagoon set. You might want to run Jolly here. So, just for context, let's go ahead and calc Obstagoon Facade. We'll make it Jolly. Let's make it Jolly. Let's make it Jolly. Let's go ahead and see how much Facade does. Oh, what's this? Facade can Oko Hatterini? If it's adamant? It's a what? It's an 81.3% chance to Oko. Okay, how much does Excadrill take from Facade? 60% from Facade? Okay. What about, I don't know, Conkeldurr? 75% from Facade? Gyarados? That through Intimidate, 75% from Facade. Arcanine, 70% through Facade through Intimidate. Yeah. Maybe you can see why I'm concerned about this thing. Obstruct, amazing. If your opponent tries to hit you with a contact move and you obstruct it, they're in a lot of trouble the next turn. They're in a ton of trouble the next turn. Close combats to hit rock and steel types like I mentioned. It'll obviously Oko Tyranitar. It'll Oko Excadrill. And Knockoff is an amazing move. Like, removing things items in a metagame without Z moves and in a metagame without Mega Stones means every time you hit a Pokemon with Knockoff that has an item, they will no longer have an item. Oh, you can see kind of some stuff. Sorry. So that's pretty good, and it's stab, so it's even stronger. Knockoff is they buffed it so much; it's an incredible move. You could, of course, drop one of these moves for other things, but Yeah. Okay, and let's also talk about the coverage with the max moves, right? So max fighting raises your attack, so you can make your Obstagoon twice as bulky and give it an attack boost and have burn be like doing 3% of your max Dynamax HP. You can also use max facade to lower your opponent's speed stats. So you can have speed control, you can have attack boosting, and if your partner's with if your partner's with a physical attacker, you can raise your attack stat. Or if your partner's with a special attacker, you can use max knockoff to lower their special defense stat. It's amazing, amazing max move coverage. It's so good. And the shiny form is so good. Next up, we have Choice Band. I'm just going to talk through these quickly because I've already talked for a while. But yeah, basically this is like, there's very few Pokemon. Like, I don't know if there's any Pokemon that can take a hit from this thing happily. Maybe like Hippowdon. Like, I guess, but Hippowdon's still going to be 2-hit KO, dude. It's a 2-hit KO, right? And you can even take away the item. I'm actually, oh, that's max HP, max defense Hippowdon. Okay, sure, why not? So yeah, very, very strong. And do not, and if they hit you, obviously, this is before they accidentally before they accidentally activate Obstruct. If they do that, that's all I'm saying, right? Because again, okay, you play very differently against Gut Obstagoon versus like regular Obstagoon here, right? So if your opponent has, I don't know, like Conkeldurr, they Mach Punch into Obstagoon thinking that it's Choice Band, and then you Obstruct, and now the Conkeldurr gets OHKO'd the next turn through Intimidate. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of scary. Next up, we have Choice Band. So the idea here is that Defiant is an amazing ability. It really punishes opponents for using Intimidate and for having Pokemon that use max moves like Max Dragon or Max Bug that lower stats. So it's very, very strong. Double Edge, Close Combat, Knockoff, and Switcheroo. There's a lot of Pokemon that really do not like to be afflicted by Choice Band. We do not want to hold the Choice Band. For example, you play against a Whimsicott, you can Switcheroo that, right? You play against a Rotom form, you can Switcheroo that. Trick Room Pokemon, give me that Switcheroo, right? Very, very, very strong against a lot of Pokemon. Just choice, like being able to force your opponent to hold your item is really good. Just as a small aside, I do think that Switcheroo is better than Trick, because Trick is a Psychic type move and Imprison is a Psychic type move, and since they do the same thing, I feel like Psychic types are more likely to learn Trick. Not that I think anyone would run Trick Imprison, but that's why I'm using Switcheroo and not Trick. Although I guess Trick is a TM, so maybe it's easier, but isn't Obstagoon, isn't Switcheroo a level up? Yeah, so that's also another reason Switcheroo is easier to get. Again, we've talked about Ice Punch, we talked about Gunk Shot, we talked about Iron Head, we talked about X Scissor, lots of other coverage moves you could use. You don't need Switcheroo. Another option which we'll talk about on the Choice Scarf set is Parting Shot. You could do this as well if you wanted. It just has so many moves. It's like really 4-move slot syndrome. Something I think could be interesting is a very bulky Obstagoon with either Defiant or Guts. For most of these sets, I think you can run Defiant or Guts. On Choice Band Obstagoon, if you weren't worried about Burn and you weren't worried about Intimidate, you could use Reckless, but I personally think Defiant or Guts are better most of the time. But there's nothing wrong with Reckless either. Because Reckless Double Edge actually does big damage with the Choice Band. So, yeah, so next up we have Assault Vest. So this set can play a supporting role thanks to Icy Wind and Knockoff. I've put enough speed to outspeed Whimsicott after an Icy Wind, and then the coverage moves, like we mentioned earlier, are really good here. Taking things items is really good. There's a ton of weakness policy going around right now, and I like Knockoff because you can knock off something's weakness policy, and especially if you have Dynamax, like that can really, really slow things down. I feel like Obstagoon is very good against Trick Room, depending on the set. I mean, maybe not Hatterini and DD, but I feel like Obstagoon has a lot of potential against Trick Room. So I like Assault Vest. Like I mentioned, Obstagoon's bulk is actually not bad at all, with 200 HP and 101 to special defense stat without investing. So, well, 200 HP is with investing, but yeah. So for that reason, I think Assault Vest could be super cool. And Icy Wind is an amazing move that, even though it's not getting a ton of usage right now, I expect that to change at some point. So yeah. I really like this kind of set. I think that could be really good, especially like allowing Obstagoon to stick around means it can take advantage of Defiant boosts more. So yeah, there's also not that many. I haven't seen that many normal types like around. Truth be told, and I feel like that is telling because like Max Strike is actually a really good max attack because it lowers the opponent's speeds, which is it's kind of like reverse. It's not as good Max Flying, but it's still pretty good. So, like, I feel like Max Normal is currently one of the underused types. Next up, like I mentioned, we have Scarf Obstagoon. This thing is super fast. It will outspeed. I put Max Speed on just so you can speed tie, like, Arcanine after a Max Flying, which is something I ran into. Like I mentioned, I really like Switcheroo or Trick on Choice Pokemon when you can. Of course, you could run Ice Punch. You could run Gunk Shot if you wanted. those are options as well. You could also run Guts. Oh, on the Assault Vest set, I have Double Edge. You could run Body Slam or Facade if you wanted. Like, if you're worried about status but wanted to run Defiant, or if you wanted to have more, like less recoil, you could totally run Body Slam. Parting Shot, Double Edge, Knockoff, and Switcheroo. Same kind of moveset that you've seen before. I did drop Close Combat on this set because you don't have as much power, and it's not a stab move, and Obstagoon's attack is not that high. It's actually, like, kind of, like, it's, yeah, I mean, it's high when you consider, like, the other effects, but with no boosting, I think, like, it's not that strong, so, yeah. I did drop Close Combat again. You could drop Switcheroo or Parting Shot or both for other moves as well. Yeah, I played against, I think, a Scarf set, and it's pretty good. This is a great answer to Dragapult, since Obstagoon obviously will echo Dragapult. Let's see. No item. And this is not healthy. Yeah, so Knockoff, even if you're Jolly, or even if they have like 108 bulk, you still Oko with Knockoff, so you can Oko Dragapult, which is really good with Defiant. They can't really get around that. So yeah, being able to outspeed an Oko Dragapult, being able to do lots of damage to like Whimsicott with you could run Gunk Shot, of course. You could also run Double Edge. Let's see, Double Edge, like just do big damage to Whimsicott, although I guess that's not that strong actually. That's max HP. So yeah, like basically just like have a fast Pokemon that can play some, like can do some supporting things as well. Is a good option. Lastly, I wanted to talk about, this is the Gut set but with Life Orb and Defiant. Then yeah, so I figured this could be pretty good as well, because I don't know, you might not want to burn yourself, or you might just want the immediate power, but yeah, again, all the moves are kind of variable. I do think these are pretty solid moves overall. But yeah, it's pretty much everything I've already said. I don't want to spend too long on this. For this set, you could drop Double Edge, like, but the power is pretty nice, to be honest. You could, of course, run Defiant as well, or a Reckless as well to power up Double Edge, but I think Defiant or, excuse me, Guts are better. Yeah. Obstagoon's nice because it has nice natural bulk, so even if you invest in offenses, you're still, like, not that frail. Like, you can still take a hit or two, so, because normally offensive Pokemon are really frail, so that's, like, one of their main weaknesses. So, this, like, even though Obstagoon with a set like this is not sticking around for too long, it can take most hits, right? Like, it can take a max move from Excadrill. I'd be shocked. Actually, let's just calc that live as long as we're live. Excadrill, Max Quake. Something's wrong. Why is that not doing any damage? Oh, I'm Dynamaxed. Yeah, takes a Max Quake. Sorry. Takes a Max Quake even without investment, and that's, yeah. So that's pretty good. It actually has a chance even with Life Orb. Not a very good chance. So maybe that's something you would want to EV for, like on a set, like, although I guess you wouldn't really want to be doing that. But yeah, you do also outspeed Excadrill outside of Sand, so that's another thing. But yeah, basically, I think that's all I wanted to say about Obstagoon. I know this video was a little longer than I like to do for guides, but I think that I could have even made it much longer because there's a lot of things to talk about when it comes to Obstagoon. So expect this Pokemon to be popping up later in the metagame once people kind of have a better grasp on how things play out. This makes me really want to build an Obstagoon team, so I might look into that because it's just such a cool Pokemon. But yeah, I think other than that, that's more or less all I want to say. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, please make sure to leave a like. 2 videos a day is a lot, and I'm not sure I'll be able to keep it up for much longer, so the more support I can get, the better. Yeah, I think that's all I want to say. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you would like to see an Obstagoon team and which Pokemon you would like me to cover next, because I did Obstagoon just because it got a ton of recommendations, and I feel like I learned a lot from doing this. So, yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you for the next video. Goodbye.